Hello, thank you for joining today's Jira training session. Today, I'm going to be focusing on how to create a project. This is a follow-on video from my last training where I had two people on the call and I was walking them through how to do certain things in Jira. And I did promise I was going to put on a video to show how to get a project created in Jira. So that's what this training is going to be focusing on. So, few things you need to be aware of before we start. If you haven't subscribed to my video, please do so, because you'll be one of the first people to get notified once a new video is launched. Also, if you do have a question, if you do have concerns, if you're trying to do something in your Jira instance or in your organization and you don't know how to, please leave me a comment in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to walk you through what you need to do. Also, I've been asked by a few people to if they could reach out to me to do one-to-one trainings with them or walk them through different aspects of Jira in terms of what you're trying to do. As well, if that is what you're trying to do, yes, I do offer one-to-one trainings. I do offer group trainings. So if you are looking for something like that, please feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. So back to today's training, I'm going to be walking you through how to get a project created. There are two things you need to be aware of when you have access into Jira. First, what sort of permissioning you do have, and second, what functionality is enabled for you to use. So the first one is in Jira, we have two types of permissioning. So you can be a Jira system administrator, and you can also be a Jira project administrator. Both have different functionalities. They do different things. For a Jira system administrator, those people with those permissionings have more privileges to all the configuration, all the backend system to be able to do one or two things in terms of configuration, workflows, creating new fields, issue types, and so on and so forth. Whereas if you are a project administrator, you would only have access to just your projects in Jira, as well as you still would not have the ability to go to the back end to do your configurations, to do your workflow schemas and stuff. You would not have access to do that. What you would need to do would still need to reach out to who your support is in your organization to get some certain things done for you, and then that will be enabled for you to then go in to be able to do further modification if you require that. An example of what a project administrator cannot do will probably be creating a new project, which is what we're talking about today. You would not be able to do anything regarding the schemas, like creating a new schema, creating a workflow schema, creating new fields, custom fields, if you require them. A project administrator would not have the right to do that. For schemas, custom fields, you would need a Jira system administrator right to be able to go in to make changes. So if you are logged on into your system, quickly, under the section where you can see where you have the project, if you click on the drop down there and you cannot see where it says create project, that is a quick win to let you know that you do not have the right. You are not a Jira service administrator, but just a project administrator. So that will give you a hint as to, oh yeah, you can create a project. You would need to request this from your support system, in your organization. Some people would have teams within the project that are given the privileges to be like a Jira support administrator for the team. So if your organization is set up that way, you would then need to reach out to them to, get the necessary configuration done for you. So this training now is based on for people that already have the permission to create a project for their organization. So you would need to just click on the project section and then you click on create project. It then brings you what you're seeing on my screen might be different from what you're seeing on your screen, but the process in itself is completely the same, regardless of what version of Jira you're using. The only difference you get to see is, where you find certain information. So once you've clicked on your create project, it gives you a screen in here to either tell us what type of project you're trying to create. Are you trying to create a business project? Are you trying to create a software project? And then you can then decide what you're trying to do. So for the instance of this training, I'm going to be creating a product discovery project. And then once you click on that, try template. So it gives you a lot more options in here to decide what type of information you want this project to have. For in here, I'll then click on software development because I'm trying to create like a Scrum project. So that will give you the functionality to then say, yes, I want to create a Scrum project. If you're trying to create a Kanban project and you've mistakenly created a Scrum project, that's absolutely fine. You can still go back and configure your board to be Kanban or change your workflow to be Kanban if you've made a mistake and stuff like that. So this is me creating a Scrum project. 3 things that you need to be aware of. For every single project, you would need an issue type schema. Your issue type schema is where you find all the different types of issue types you will have in your project. Issue types like your epics, your stories, your bulk, your tasks, your subtasks. So you could have as many issue types as you want, but by default, when you're creating a Scrum board, it defaults to certain issue types. Most of those default configuration is usually customized based on organizational need or the way it's set up in your organization. So if you have business case, deliverables as an issue type, that's because that's the way the organization works. So for the purpose of this training, I'm just sticking to epic, stories, bulk, tasks, and subtasks. In my subsequent videos, I've talked about how to add more issue types to your schemas if you want, and also how to create new issue types and add that to your schemas if you want as well. So watch out for those videos. So here you can see I'm going to be using the default one that the system is giving to me, which is this issue type. And I'm also going to stick to the default workflow, which the system by default gives to you when you're creating a project. Tricks, quick notes is when you've created your project, yes, you're given this default opening, progress, close, or the specific issue type that you've mentioned or that you requested for, and that project can then be created for you. Once the project is created, so I'm just going to click on use the template because I want to use all the default information in there. And then in this section, in this screen, it's telling you to choose, do you want it company manage or team manage? You're creating this for your team. So you're going to be clicking on manage team project. So in your organization, you might not get to see the view that you've just seen now because I'm on the cloud Jira. You might be on the server or you might be on the data center. So the setup in itself might be slightly different. Yours might already tell you something like, do you want to share your configuration with other projects? What it means by that is the configuration is already set up, bespoke to a particular project. And if that particular project is being used by one of your team and you just want to use the same setup that they have, then you can share their configuration and then it defaults to the setup for that project. Or you can create, your own configuration from scratch. So by the system gives you like a default setup, and then you can then use that to, start off your project. So now I'm going to be providing my project name. So whatever project name that, you're going for. So I would say call this project the training. Okay. And then by default, the key is automatically generated for you from the system. But having said that, you can also define what you want the key to be. So maybe say, for example, this is a training project that you're creating, and you want, your key to be, defined for you. You can go into the key section and change what was automatically created for you by the system and replace with what the bespoke information you want in there. So let's just say I'll call this up. Okay, so you can see it would allow me to change that. And now I'm creating, click on next. Oh, sorry, access level. So I want it to be open to all. So everyone should have access to this project. If you've clicked on just your team, only the team members you've specified would then have access to that project. And if you've clicked on private, that means it's going to be private to just you. Bear in mind, when it says private, it means nobody will be able to search for your project. They won't be able to create issues in your project because it's private to just you. So be clear on what the access you want. Leaving it open, it makes it open to all, doesn't necessarily mean that all will be able to make changes to the project. So I'm just clicking on, next. So this will run its course, and then it creates the project for you. It would ask you as well, Confluence, if you have GitLab, you don't need to do that at the point of setting up your project, but it's just asking if you want to connect to those. So I'm just going to skip. And then that's my project created. Okay. Once you have your project created, now is where the work begins, because you now need to define. Remember, at the point of creating the project, we used everything default issue type schema. We used the default screen that the system would have given us, the default workflow, which is open in progress clause. If that's not what you want, now is the time where you then go in to your project and you need to begin to customize or modify the workflows, your issue type schemas, your screen schemas, the way the team is structured. So for you to do that, you would need to go into the project section for your project, and then we can then begin to go into that. So for this training, watch out for the part 2 of this, where I go into details on how we then configure the setup for these projects that we've created. So I think that will be it for today. And stay tuned for the part 2, where we finish off this and also show you how we configure the workflow, the issue type, and also the screens for this particular project. Thank you for staying tuned. If you haven't already subscribed, please remember to subscribe before you go. And also give me a thumbs up if you do like my video. And remember, most importantly, share these videos with the rest of your colleagues and friends. Also, leave me a comment if you do have any questions for me or want me to walk you through whatever it is you're doing in your system that you need more clarity on. Please leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you.